Wakiso is the next one. 2,214. The Gulu, Yedako, 636. Ruero, 599. Mbarara, naite bagirese mabega, 541. Tororo, 352. Masaka, 312. Busia, zona ziri yao, they are all following one another. Jinja, Mbare, Mukono, Soroti, Mpiji, Chotera, Arua, Yumbe, Kasese, Chiriandongo, Hoima, Kabarore, those are 89. Total 20,000 people in 21 days. Given the nature of this virus, the moment you detect one case, then it is a matter of time until the infections expand and the number increases. We have noted a number of danger signals in the trend of the pandemic. These help to alert us to how we are doing. Some of these include non-cargo cross-border movement, except for licensed tourist vehicles, is hereby suspended for the next 42 days. So now here you are. Awoyogede. With the Uganda, we say Awoyogede, you have spoken. Because sometimes you can speak, but you speak in nonsense. With the Uganda, we say, it is as if you have not spoken, although we have heard your sound. But Temuri can't. So now, the only cargo movement. So they need to clarify the returnees. They are not tourists, they are not cargo, they are returning. They just bring themselves back. Okay, thank you very much. We don't want you to be stuck outside there. But how about the one who wants now to go? You sort it, they will sort it out. Non-agricultural activities and markets. Efforts have been made to bring on board different actors, including Kampala's Capital City Authority and Ministry of Works and Transport, among others. However, the surge of crowds has not sufficiently subsided, despite the effort to enforce social distancing and the use of face masks. This might not take away the danger of spreading the COVID as envisaged. So therefore, my directives are as follows. Food market vendors should revert to the presidential directive of March 2020 to stay in their places of work. Bali abachara, the ones who camped in the markets and were not going home, those bazira, those freedom fighters, if the Minister of Health could give them bed nets, free bed nets, so that they are not bitten by mosquitoes, they can camp in the market and instead of for Abarwanya, very well, Trachikolanga, would camp in the forest. So Minister of Health, move quickly, give these market people bed nets. They can camp there and sleep. Each one. When you sleep, don't sleep. Don't be together. Because we have found that in the army that causes infection. People sharing rooms, it's not good. Don't share rooms. Let each one even sleep outside, but alone. Don't share rooms. Chikubo and other business centers should be closed, and the situation reverts to the presidential directive of March 2020 as far as the Chikubo is concerned. Those Chikubo places are very dangerous, but the food markets should remain open, only that the sellers should camp there, assisted by the Minister of Health to give them overa to shield the rain and the nets for the mosquitoes. Barriers. Whereas the compliance on this has been low, the high risk factor assessed is the pressure of people seeking permission to go and attend burials from place to place. This poses the highest danger of spreading the virus and breaches of the strategy. Therefore, burials to be restricted to the core family as applied in the military. One of our people, first of all, my uncle died during this corona. I never went to bury him. He was buried at Raikitura, next to my father and mother, but I never went to bury him. Because I was adding nothing. I was not going to resurrect him. But I would bring a crowd. So my uncle died, buried at Raikitura in our burial place. I sent my young brother Nzeire with a few people, you go and bury. What difference does it make? Just gathering. When there's so much danger. My cousin died during this. I sent a few people, you go and bury. Now, the other day, one of our people, Pius Mujuzi, former member of parliament, died. He was an army officer. Then I got people, send a representative. I said, no, I'm not going to send a representative. I will send support, but not a representative to make a speech. This is not a normal time to go and make speeches and what. And he died from corona. So I'm not going to send a representative because this is not normal time of sending representatives. No. Kajabo Karasoke died. I sent support to the children. I didn't send a representative. Because people behave as if this is a normal thing. Those things happen, those cultural, social, happen because when things are normal. But when things are not normal, and you are told that, today I was speaking with the Omudinja of Bundubujo, our soldier, Lieutenant Colonel Kamia, who is the king of Bundubujo. His mother died, one of our people. Somebody was saying, you send somebody. I said, no, I'm not going to send anybody. I will send support. What is needed is support, which can be sent virtually, but no representative or president to make speech as if we are in normal way. So these barriers are being mishandled. Let only the core people of the family be there. Like I handled my uncle. I told one of my young brothers, and said, you go with a few people, 10 people. That's enough. When the crisis is over, we can have an occasion and we'll remember him. The committee I put in place during my last address, led by Major General Soke and Dr. Musenero, should ensure the institution of a well-coordinated mechanism which enables a few family members to transport the dead body for burial. RDC and DPC should ensure that all SOPs are observed and not more than 20 people attend the burial. And avoid gatherings and visits to the deceased family after burials, which will promote spread of the virus. Bars, discos, sports betting, and cinema halls, despite all the directives, the bar owners and clients have not fully adhered. I now direct KCCA, URA, and local government authorities to close and seal off all the bars that breach this, and also cancel their licenses forever. Cancel the licenses. You violate, you will never open again in Uganda unless you go to Kenya or South Sudan. Police should accordingly arrest and charge you with hefty fines. We are not going to arrest you and put you in jail to eat our free food. No, you will be the one to pay. We can raise money from you instead of us feeding you. It serves no purpose arresting the revelers or allowing the owners to reopen the following morning. All other sectors which are not specifically mentioned should consider themselves closed for the next 42 days. Institutions and organizations, although most offices have complied with the 30% physical presence at the workplace, the directive ought to be reviewed. Current information so far obtained indicates that despite this scale down, infection rates in this area are very high. I have therefore decided that we reduce further to 10% of staff in non-core ministries, departments, and agencies. The factories should remain open. Factories should remain open. But where possible, the workers should be housed at the places of work for the next 42 days. I encourage the factory owners to work with the Ministry of Health to ensure only uninfected workers enter the camps, the work sites. Where camping is not possible, the factory owners should work together with the technical committee to agree on a safe alternative to enable the factory activities to continue safely during the lockdown period. Places of worship. The churches, mosques, and sports sessions are congregating settings and are a source that fuels rapid virus transmission. All places of worship and sports events remain suspended for 42 days. Here, I had a problem with last year when people were saying that it's really amazing. They were saying that if they don't go to church, that they will not pray. Well, the good thing is that I have a bishop in my house these days. After 150 years of Christianity, one of my children became a pastor. I had never had a pastor in my family for the last 150 years. The Christians came here in 1877, the CMS, and the Catholic Church, 1879, Maper and others. 1877 it was Mackay and the CMS. So that's all 150 years almost. I had never had a priest in my family, but I now have one, my daughter Patience. So last year I discussed with Patience. I said, please, God is in all places. That's what I studied in the Catechism, 1957, when I was being confirmed. Rahanga ariyo myanya yona yona. God is in all places, is omnipresent. That's what they say in the. So you don't have to go to church. You can pray where you are. And these days there are even these TVs I normally see Mama Janet watching those women from America. There's a woman called Margaret. There's another one called what? She's always watching them. They're always preaching in my house there. Even me, I attend once in a while when I'm not rushing around. I know what there are some Nigerians which Mama watches, some Nigerian people. One of them came here called something, what? Adeboye came here. I can attend Adeboye is preaching from Nigeria. So why do you have to expose people of your church to gathering? This really should be very careful. Should be very careful. God says it should not be. God should not be mocked. Don't mock God, saying that you are doing the work of God when maybe you are after some other things. It's not correct. So it's very dangerous to gather and sing, especially sing, because when you are singing, you are. Monitoring of the compliance. The Joint Intelligence Committee, working together with the Technical Intersectoral Committee under Major General Robert Rusoke. Rusoke is there. He's not putting you in uniform. He's putting you in a suit now. You may think that he was an ambassador also, so he's quite a Polish gentleman. Major General Rusoke is there. Are directed to closely monitor the compliance and enforcement of these directives. Except where specifically stated, all these measures take immediate effect and will last 42 days when I will make subsequent revision. For our lives to continue, the following sector fully should function. Because these directives are not blind, they are really well calculated. These sectors, once they are open, even if we have problems here and there, we shall survive, as we have done since March last year. Sector 1, agriculture. Fortunately, agriculture is a decentralized activity. People don't gather so much, so they can continue working. Industry, especially manufacturing and tourism. Cargo transport for the distribution of factory goods and agricultural goods. Health and medical services. Security. Utilities, meaning water, electricity, mass media, telecom, banking institutions, garbage and waste management, retail shops. Retail shops should remain open, because retail shops are not the same as a Chikubo. Retail shops, you find one person there selling with the shop assistant. There's no crowding. The retail shops should remain open because, fortunately, they don't encourage crowding. So, if the farms are producing, the factories are producing, the cargo trucks are moving, the health centers are working, the army and the police are active, the utilities are open, we shall survive. We shall suffer but survive, as we did last year. I have thus categorized these as sectors, these sectors as essential sectors. At this critical moment, I wish to call upon all the leadership structures throughout the country. Every village has community health workers known as village health teams, VHTs, who are in touch with families and keep records on the health status of the village. For example, they know how many people are in the village, how many are pregnant, how many children, etc. These VHTs should now be leveraged to increase population awareness, support for SOPs, and then know which people. To achieve the above two strategic objectives and augmenting my observations above, starting 2200 hours today, 2200 hours is 10 o'clock, 18th of June 2021, I'm revising and updating all the directives I issued on the 6th of June 2021. The revision is as follows. Public and private transport. It has been observed that taxis, border drop passengers at the district boundaries to be taken over by their colleagues waiting across the boundary district, which may result in further spread of the virus in the communities. Additionally, it has also been observed that despite this directive, human beings walk across district boundaries. This, therefore, has not fully achieved its intended purpose. It has achieved because many people are voluntarily staying at home, but there are those who don't listen. Furthermore, the movement of individuals fuels virus transmission, and without limiting the movement of persons, which leads to mixing and remixing of individuals in the different categories of infected and non-infected. This needs to be stopped since it is the cornerstone of the current exponential transmission. The virus does not transport itself. The virus is transported by human beings. The virus is not the problem are the human beings and their conduct. Because if the human beings listened, this virus is nothing. Actually, this is not really a problem of the virus. Because this is not like AIDS, that it is not curable. It is curable, it is preventable, but it is more the human, the society and all sorts of wrong actors in the society who don't listen, who don't care. So this is the issue we need to deal with. Therefore, my directives are as follows. All cross-boundary district and intra-district movement of public transport and by private vehicles or borders is hereby suspended for 42 days starting today. No movement of public transport, car, or border, or even private vehicles. I will tell you the only exception later. So all of them, all of you, except if you are in some categories which we shall mention later, don't move. Stay where you are for 42 days. Why 42 days? Because we know that this virus, once it doesn't spread, in 14 days, it gets out of your body, or if not 28 days, if not 42 days. However, all cargo trucks and pickups will be allowed to travel within and across boundary districts with a maximum of 2 persons, including the driver. For the cargo vehicles, they will continue moving by day and by night, but having only two passengers, 2 people, the driver and 1 person, or even the driver alone. Public, private vehicles or border will only move to transport the patient, the ill, of whatever illness, on authentication and availability of evidence from either LC1, RDC, or a health worker. So the vehicles will only be allowed to move if they are carrying a patient, either from the village to the LC3 or what do you call it, Health Center 3, or from Health Center 3 to the district, but on referral by the medical worker at the Health Center 3. From the village to the Health Center 3, the LC1 would be the one to allow, to say this vehicle is not taking a visitor, okukyara, is not taking a person going to do whatever, but a patient, a woman who wants to deliver, somebody who is sick. The public vehicles and the private ones can transport, not passengers, but abarwadde, sick people. The other time when we had a lockdown, we had a problem of handling patients. So this time we have found a solution. We have said no, freeze all the vehicle movement, whether public or private, except for patient transmission from either the village to the Health Center 3, or from the Health Center 3 to the district, or from the district to even Kampala. So therefore, all passenger vehicles are frozen. Their movement is frozen, except for the transporting of patients. Except where they may carry patients. Also the border-borders can carry patients. They can carry patients. But if we found that you are pretending to be a patient when you're not a patient, and the border-border is carrying you, we shall penalize very severely that border-border. And of course yourself. Except where they may carry patients, border-borders will not be allowed to carry any passengers, but only carry merchandise within the same district, with the exception for border-border movements within and across the Kampala-Wakiso-Mukono Metropolitan Complex. The ones of Mukono and Kampala and Wakiso, because they are more or less the same, those ones can move. But move with cargo, the border-borders only carry cargo, not passengers. Why? We want passengers to stay at home. This is the whole thing. We want the passengers to stay at home. So that, because we are the ones who are spreading the sickness. The virus has no wings that it can fly. This virus cannot go beyond, is it how many meters? It cannot go beyond 2 meters by itself. So who is spreading it? People are dying, we are burying, I'm getting phones. What? We are just killing ourselves. Don't accuse the virus. No, please. The virus can defend itself in the court and say, look, I'm not the one. The umpire is me, I just go 2 meters. How can I? The virus can defend itself. The virus goes only 2 meters. So who is taking the virus all over the whole country? People are dying. We are burying. No, please. It is being taken by us. We are the ones taking it. The Right Honorable Prime Minister and the Minister of Gender and Social Welfare are hereby directed to ensure that the vulnerable population's needs are adequately assessed and taken care of to avert unintended suffering in this period. These are the groups who depend on daily earning, especially in the towns, especially in the Kampala area. The new Prime Minister and her group are directed to quickly assess what these people need, so that we may give them support for this limited period of 42 days. Further, the Minister of Health and the Kampala City Council Authority are hereby directed to make all the necessary arrangements to ensure all individuals that require medical care and medical evacuation in Kampala Wakiso are taken care of. Across the country, the resident district commissioners working with the chief administrative officers and their district health officers are directed to make all the necessary arrangements to ensure all individuals that require medical care and medical evacuation in their respective districts, COVID-19 or otherwise, are taken care of. And that's why we say vehicles can be used for patient evacuation. So that will not be a problem. But at their own, men at their own cost, not necessarily the cost of the government. Because that also will delay us if we go to government money. The patients will pay and the vehicles will move them. We want the tourists to keep coming. The tourists who are coming from countries where they have already been fully vaccinated can continue coming. And they can move. But they will only be moved by registered tourist vehicles, which will be the ones allowed to move. These should move directly to their destination and designated places. Emergency vehicles, police and army vehicles, and essential workers' vehicles will be allowed to move. I have defined the essential sectors, and where there is need for additional clarity, the Right Honorable Prime Minister will study, search, and communicate. Among the essential health workers include doctors, nurses, pharmacists, veterinary doctors, and other essential health staff. Details of other essential sectors will be worked out by the Right Honorable Prime Minister and her team, like the utilities, electricity, definitely those ones. The essential workers will be given specific identifications. Curfew, it is observed that some sections of the public are not adhering to the curfew hours. 9 o'clock to 5:30 in the morning, what they call morning, the Europeans. But in our language, we say shaisha tuzikiro, okusya shai 11 n'ikichweka z'akasheshi. Saa 3 za usiku mpaka saa 11:30 za usiku. We don't call night morning like the Europeans. You know, Europeans are wonderful people. They say night, they call it and we follow. Even me, I'm saying 5:30 in the morning. It is as if I feel as if I am in Utabika. As if I am a mad person. How can I call night morning? Because in Europe they have a different system, so we just follow blindly. So please, curfew has been from the 3rd hour of the night, saa 3 za usiku, to the 11th hour and a half of the night, saa 11:30 za usiku. But because of the anglicization, I said at 5:30 in the morning. Can you imagine? The member of the Wasita clan is saying that Shai Kumine is morning. No, it's madness. Morning is 7 o'clock. What they call 7 o'clock. Shai Moya Kashesh. As such, the curfew time throughout the country, because people are not serious. When I see these people who have died, you hear people who have died. Tumboine Manzi, our chairman in Kavari, our permanent secretary, Kagorichi Vumbi, Kajabo Karsoke. I'm getting from all over the place, telephones, so and so has died, so and so has died. Imagine. And yet we told you from March last year, I said, you people, and when you people listened, we controlled the disease. That's why today we are talking over only 400 people. In the US, they lost 600,000 people dead. So, hii mchezo lazima ikome. As such, the curfew time throughout the country is pulled back to 1900 hours from saa 1 ya usiku mpaka saa 11:30 ya usiku. But if you want to use the English way, 1900 hours, that is the military way, 1900 hours. But the military also has got uzungu ndani yake. Because they say 1900 hours, because they start counting hours at midnight. Can you imagine? Africa Banang. So anyway, saa 1 usiku mpaka saa 11:30 usiku. But in the English way, 1900 hours up to 5:30 hours, or from 7 o'clock p.m. to 5:30 a.m. in the morning, according to the English way. Borders will only be allowed to move only up to 1700 hours, which is saa 11 ya jioni. Saa 11 ya jioni. Education institutions. Testimonies from credible sources indicate that schools had been deliberately silent about infections among the students due to fear of closure. The schools were hiding sicknesses. All schools and institutions of learning remained closed for 42 days. The Ministry of Health to reactivate village health teams under the community engagement strategy to strengthen sensitization of the communities. In the villages, please watch out, because you know one another. In the villages, these villages have like 200 homes. Everybody, you know everybody. If you get somebody sick with the flu-like symptoms, inform the health center 3. And the Minister of Health here will give guidelines on how they should react. They should work out a plan how people should go from. In the meeting yesterday, they were talking of health center 4. I said, that's too far. I want the whole contact to be between health center 3 and the village. The village should report to health center 3. And then the health center 3, these people work out a plan. How will they, can they all have pickies and come and take sample and send it to where? Because if somebody is sick, I think it is not necessary to go. They will work it out. But for me, I don't think it is good for the patient to go to the health center, because when he goes, in the process, is infecting other people. It may be better to stay. It's a bit, it needs a little bit of organization, but it may be better to stay at home and somebody from health center 3 and find you there. You go and see, look at that. These health center 3s are not too many. They are like 2,000 in the whole country. So we can mobilize 2,000 motorcycles, and they start doing that linkage. The Minister of Local Government is hereby directed to support the regional task forces and the district task forces to be reactivated and supported to reinforce the compliance of all SOPs. The Minister of Finance and Economic Planning is directed to support the regional task forces, and the district task forces should be reactivated and supported to enforce compliance of the existing SOPs. International and cross-border travels. Entebbe International Airport will remain open, but we shall ensure that no virus or new variants enter Uganda. Uganda is a landlocked country. All movements, or cargo movements to and out of Uganda will be allowed without any disruption. Cargo truck drivers at land border crossings will be tested, allowed to move, and be followed up at the designated seclusion areas and holding places for cargo trucks. Cargo trucks should no longer park in the trading centers. We should go back to our plan of designated seclusion areas. That's where they should park. Not parking everywhere. That's what we had done the other time. I don't know why people abandoned it. So the cargo driver, the sample is taken, he moves on so that we don't cause a congestion. And when the results come, we shall find him where he is and say, you are sick, go this way. The Minister of Works and Transport is hereby directed to reactivate the operations of the seclusion areas for cargo trucks. The Joint Intelligence Committee to monitor compliance of particularly the private cars allowed to cross the borders to ensure total observance of the SOPs and guidelines. I think here Dr. Museveni and her group will have to sort out that issue of the passengers. I think you need to refine it. Passengers, which passengers should be allowed to come? Because we are saying no passengers except the sick in the whole country. Here inside the country, we are saying no passenger except the sick. But here you seem to be saying, yeah, passengers from outside. You clarify that. Okay, the returnees and all that. Okay, clarify that. They will clarify these people. Because remember, within the country, everybody, you stay home except the patients are the only ones moving. But now, they are saying that for returnees, that should be clarified. Okay, if you want to allow the returnees only, how about the ones who are living now? What do you do with them? You need to sort it out. The ones who say, I want now to go. Sort it out.